Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the live stream service of Temple Emeth in Teaneck, New Jersey. You are joining us for our Shabbat Evening Service here in the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary at Temple Emeth in Teaneck. It's always wonderful when we can begin our service by identifying ourselves, wishing one another Shabbat Shalom, perhaps saying where it is you are joining us from, because that way we form bonds of virtual community, knowing that there are others who have entered this virtual space with the same intention for prayer and joining together in the spirit of Jewish community. If you have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah, now is a good time to bring it to the computer or to your screen to make sure that you can follow along on the right page and be a full participant in our service. If you don't have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah, you can find a digital version in flipbook format. It's usually easier on a second device if you have one by going to the Temple Emeth live stream page. You scroll down a little bit and you click through where it says Shabbat Services. There will be an opportunity for a few different versions of the flipbook prayer book, and you flip on the one that says Weekdays, Shabbat, and Festivals, and that way you'll be able to find our prayer book, and that's the version that will have the same pages that we call out today. This Shabbat, Cantor Tillam is on vacation, so she is soaking in some warmer weather down in Florida, but our music for this evening is in good hands. She has asked two of our high school seniors, Emma Eig and Evelyn Pierce, to fill in for her with this evening's music. They've worked hard with our accompanist Tom Stachio, preparing the music this evening, and I think that you will be thoroughly impressed at the way that these young women can lead us in prayer this evening. At this time, we begin our service with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, and so I invite you to turn in your Siddur to page 120, and it is there where we find the blessing for our Shabbat candles, which is preceded by an opening reading.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you, be gracious to ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen.
Our service continues now on page 123 with our Shabbat Evening Kiddush, which is preceded by an opening reading. Please rise if you are able for the Kiddush.
As evening falls, we give thanks for the blessings of the past week, for life and strength, for work and rest, for home, love, and community. As we enjoy this bounty, may we be inspired to bring goodness into the lives of others. We raise a cup of wine in gratitude for the miracle of creation and for the gift of this day of rest. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon, yinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mechol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon yinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Please be seated. We turn now in our prayer book to page 126 for a reading to open our service this evening. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We turn the page now, and on page 128, we find the opening song of our service. Please join in singing as we join together in Hine Matov.
Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Our service continues now on page 143. On page 143, we find an excerpt from the book of Genesis It tells of Jacob, his first night alone, after fleeing quickly from his parents' household because his brother threatened to kill him. It serves as an interesting bookend with this week's Torah portion, Parashat Bo. In Parashat Bo, Jacob's descendants, the Israelites, must prepare quickly to leave Egypt and return in the direction of Canaan, somewhere where they won't reach for 40 years, but a place that is already promised to them, a place that is already on their minds as they prepare quickly for their departure as well. And Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. Coming upon a certain place, he passed the night there, for the sun was setting. Taking one of the stones of the place, he made it his headrest as he lay down in that place. He dreamed, and lo, a ladder was set on the ground with its top reaching to heaven, and lo, angels of God going up and coming down on it. And lo, Adonai stood up above it and said, I, Adonai, am the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The land on which you are lying I will give to you and to your descendants. And your descendants shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread out to the west and the east and the north and the south. Through you and your descendants, all the families of the earth shall find blessing. And here I am with you. I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this soil. I will not let go of you as long as I have yet to do what I have promised you. Waking from his sleep, Jacob said, Truly Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it. He was awestruck and said, How awe-inspiring is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven.
Yitzgadal, Yitzgadal, Shemir Rabba. Ve'alma divrach rute, ve'almig malute, bechaye hon, uve'ome hon, uvechaye, techol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, v'meru. Yesh miraba bevara le'olam maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalel shemeidu l'kudisha v'rechu ve'elam min kol birchata v'shirata shush bechata v'nehemata damiram be'alma b'meru. Amen.
We rise for the Baruch Hu found on page 146.
Shema Yisrael Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam V'ed.
We turn to page 148 and we join together in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma potech sha'arim uvitfuna mishanei itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmorotehem barakia kirtsono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We turn the page and read together on page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim
seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ומכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבניך, ושינתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לתותפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. We continue on page 157 as we read together in English at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נרדר בקודש, נורא תהילתו ספלה, נורא תהילתו ספלה. מלכותך ובניך, בוקי הים לפני משה, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We continue now on page 161, where we find an interpretation of the Hashkivenu. The Hashkivenu is the prayer that asks for God's special protection as night descends upon us, and we offer it now with these words. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
ושמרו בעיני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדור דום ברית עולם. ושמרו בעיני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדור דום ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בעיני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בעיני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בעיני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בעיני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
The next part of our service is the Amidah, or the Tefillah. It is the central portion of our service. It offers the many themes of Jewish prayer, ranging from gratitude to asking for the things that will make our lives better. The prayers of Avot v'Imahot, the prayers of the Tefillah begin with Avot v'Imahot and continue on through other familiar prayers, the Gevurot, the Kiddusha, but they begin with a verse from Psalms, which is found on page 164, and we continue now on that page as we rise for the Tefillah.
Adonai sefatay tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'meivi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'hava, Melech Ozer, U'shia U'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ve'Rofei Cholim, U'matir Asurim, U'mechayim Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, U'mido Melach, Melech Meimit U'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'ema ata lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom b'chaylut ha'selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We continue our service now on page 175. We read together in English, Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yir'ah na'avod. And we turn now in our prayer books to page 179, where we find a prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael. Ba shalom. We take a moment now for silent prayer, known in Hebrew as Tfilat Halev. Inspirational readings for this time may be found in your prayer book on pages 180 and 181.
Say shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom Israel, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Our service continues now with a prayer for healing found in your Siddur on page 371. At this time, as we think of those in need of healing, I invite you to put the names of your loved ones in need of healing in the comments or the chat section of the platform, the live stream platform that you're watching us on this evening. We think of those who are ill with COVID-19. We think of all of those who suffer alone, and we think as well of those who care for them and who care for all who are ill. We turn now to page 371, and we join together in singing the Mishaberach.
Source of strength.
President Joe Biden took the oath of office on Wednesday and became the 46th President of the United States. The theme of his inaugural address was unity, repeating the word some 10 times. We as a country have a hard time defining what unity is. It is much easier to define what unity is not. For the past 4 years, we have seen a president deliberately promote divisiveness with petty insults and huge lies, by employing white supremacist dog whistles, and by demanding loyalty to himself rather than the Constitution. And though he garnered 47% of the vote in November, he left office this week with just a 29% approval rating. The 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency show how easy it is to break things. Alliances can easily be broken, so can treaties, institutions, and norms. But it is much harder to build things back to the way they were, and ideally, even better. Simply avoiding insults, telling the truth, promoting racial tolerance, and putting the nation first will not undo the damage to our democracy in the last 4 years. The unity that our new president strives for will take much more deliberate effort. This week's Torah portion gives us a glimpse at these two forces at work. The Pharaoh is stubborn and cruel. He puts his own pride above the plight of the Israelites and even the suffering of his own people. He is willing to destroy his country to hold on to his slaves, and he continues to do this even after his courtiers are ready to admit defeat. But the Israelites, preparing for the first Passover, do something completely different. God commands that they slaughter a lamb and eat of the Passover offering. But the Torah acknowledges that this may be too difficult for small families to do on their own. Families are therefore permitted and even encouraged to go to their neighbors so they can share this responsibility. What is too great for one family becomes manageable for 2 or 3 or 4 working together. While they are performing this ritual for the first time, it is clear that it is not the last. They are inaugurating an annual institution to be performed throughout the ages. This collaboration and this eye to future greatness are, for the generation of the Exodus, their first steps to freedom. Until now, they have been beneficiaries of God's redemptive power in the form of the plagues, but they have not been required to act of their own accord. Now they do, by banding together and creating a ritual that will include a sense of history, gratitude, and education. Most importantly, the ritual creates a sense of destiny that will be elevated when they make their covenant with God. When the Israelites finally gain their freedom, they realize that it comes with a great responsibility. Their emergence from bondage means they must take care of one another in unprecedented ways. I believe that this is analogous to the moment we are living in today. The unity that President Biden spoke about in his speech Wednesday is the outgrowth of a mature understanding of freedom. Freedom is not simply being able to do what we want. Freedom is ensuring that everyone is cared for and no one is left behind. Hence the command to work together to offer the Paschal sacrifice. Freedom means we can make more decisions for ourselves, but it also means we must carefully weigh the consequences of those decisions with an eye to the future. Hence the 10 Commandments, which were given only after the Exodus. After entering the presidency following a predecessor who set the bar low, our new president has set the bar very high for himself by stressing pandemic relief, the environment, racial justice, income inequality, and defeating extremism. Above all, he has given himself the responsibility of uniting the country. It is an admirable and fundamental goal for which I pray he receives God's blessing. For as much as we as Americans must rebuild trust and civility and compassion, it begins with rebuilding our sense of shared destiny. Shabbat Shalom. At this time, as we prepare for the Aleinu, I would like to offer a prayer for our new president. It was written by poet Alden Solovey, and it goes like this. For the U.S. President, God of history, Bless the United States President with skill, to act with inspiration and insight, becoming a visionary for the world, building our nation and communities in your image, a steward dedicated to justice so that our cities and towns resonate with compassion and health, justice and mercy, kindness and peace. Bless our president with dedication and foresight, fortitude and imagination to solve the complex issues that threaten our future. Let the weight of the office change him for the good. Let the institutions of our government serve as checks and balances to his power. May he lead us to a time when neighbors embrace and communities thrive, a time when liberty and equality reign supreme. Source and shelter, grant safety and security to all nations and communities, so that truth and harmony will resound from the four corners of the earth. Let the light of wisdom shine brightly in the halls of power, a beacon of hope for every land and every people. The words of poet Alden Solovey. We continue now with the Aleinu, which is found in your Siddur on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu.
Bereshit Shelo asanu keguyei haratzot Velo samanu kemishbechot hadama Shelo sam chelkenu kahem V'goralinu kechol hamona Va'anachnu korim Umishtachavim umodim Lifnei melech Malkei hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu V'nemar V'haya Adonai B'melech al kol haaretz V'yom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo
We remain standing at this time as we prepare for the Mourner's Kaddish. A reading before the Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 596. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear. But if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God, and in truth grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We know how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as, in their higher moments, they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim, 30-day period of mourning. Theodore Moskowitz, brother of Jane Lund and cousin of Mickey Grunstein. Francesca Kaczynski, remembered by Elise Balzer. Marilyn Newman, mother of Maddie Wolf Eichen and cousin of Barbara Balkin. Frederica Bunny Levinson, sister of Jacqueline Gutman. And Phil Kirsch, a Temple member and husband of Sue Kirsch. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week: Etta Blumenfeld, Marcella Braunschweiger, Jesse Briner, Sophie Deckelbaum, Lincoln Isaiah Dugood, Kenneth Brian Falk, Peter Flaum, Sophie Geher, Robert Heischober, Jay Israel, Ethel Katz, Beatrice Korn, Helen Kozaradsky, Chantal Loomis, Leon Miller, Abraham Morris, Miriam Moshin, Emma Nam, Lawrence Newman, Louise Norman, Mayor Ostrow, Sarah Price, Simi Portnoy, Fran Rosenberg, Harold Rothstein, Marilyn Sidorsky, Max Silverstein, Trudy Spear, Arthur Strassman, Martin Weiss, and Sonia Yalovitzer. And we remember the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust: Rosa Sapozhnik of the Soviet Union, age 21, Israel Sapozhnik of the Soviet Union, age 48, Avram Sapozhnik of the Soviet Union, age 50, Yevsei Schenker of the Soviet Union, age 29, Isaac Kushner of the Soviet Union, age 32, and Abram Israetel of the Soviet Union, age 34. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn now to page 598 and we join together in the life-affirming words of the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'yizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemei kudsha b'rechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Sandy Klein, a member of our Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to our Shabbat evening service on live stream. Thank you to the cantorial soloists Emma Eig and Evelyn Pierce for singing so beautifully this evening. Kudos to you both. Our next Zoom service will be Kabbalat Shabbat on Friday, February 12th at 5:45 p.m. It will be followed by a screening of the short film Black Hat, presented by the Viewpoints Committee. In February, we are pleased to welcome Paper Midrash, a husband and wife team who combine Torah and comic book art. At our live stream service on Friday, February 19th at 8:30 p.m., at 8 o'clock p.m., they will present a sermon entitled Purim Masks and Secret Identities. On Sunday, February 21st at 3 p.m., they will lead a make-your-own Golem workshop on Zoom. Advanced registration for the workshop is required. A request from the Paul S. Lazar Caring Community Committee. The Caring Committee asks your help in finding congregants who need our assistance. Although we quickly hear about deaths, we don't always learn about illnesses or other situations in which we could offer phone calls, shopping, meals, and other support. Please contact caring@emeth.org if you know of someone who needs help. All communications are kept strictly confidential. Thank you to the volunteers in the live stream control booth, Meredith Alvaro Gebhardt, Allegra Alvaro, and Maddie and Rich Eichen, who are at the controls this evening. Finally, remember to keep the weekly email you receive Thursday in your inbox all week long. It has the login codes for all of the week's Zoom programming. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Sandy. When Sandy said the next Zoom service, I wrote that. I meant the next Zoom service after this Shabbat is February 12th. But we do have a Zoom service tomorrow morning also, which I don't want anyone to be confused about. So tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, we hope you'll join us on Zoom. The cantorial soloist at tomorrow morning's service will be Joshua Cohane, and he is going to be accompanied, he's at his parents' house, and he's going to be accompanied by his parents, Wendy Koskoff and David Cohane, on the guitar, all on Zoom. So we hope you will join us tomorrow morning for that, in addition to the Zoom service that Sandy announced for February. And that brings us, let me also say Yasher Koach to Evelyn and to Emma, and to Tom Estachio, our accompanist. It's never easy to work with new singers, but Tom is always gracious about it, and it always works out great. So thank you to Tom as well. And our closing song, now I'll invite Emma to step up to her podium, and our closing song is found on page 648. Page 648, where we find Shir Chadash. As we're singing the song, you can take one last opportunity to enter something in the comments or the chat section of the live stream platform, perhaps something about our singers, or say you're excited about an upcoming event that Sandy read in the announcements, or you can just say Shabbat Shalom. And we turn now to Emma to lead us in Shir Chadash.
Song I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along all the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash.
As we conclude our worship, we turn to one another, whether you're here in the sanctuary or at home watching us on a screen. We conclude our service with the words, Shabbat Shalom.